Welcome to the new sound of online radio. Welcome to the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network.
You make me feel like I've been locked out of heaven.
A mix of today's hits and hard-to-find favorites, combined with the most entertaining and intriguing talk anywhere. This is your sound. This is the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network at UBNradio.com.
She's passionate about telling stories of amazing women who are rocking the world and empowering women to live, love, and thrive. Here's your host, Katherine Gray.
Hi, welcome to Live, Love, Thrive Women's Empowerment Hour, brought to you by 360karma.com. Happy to have you with us today. Hope you are following us on Facebook and Instagram at My360Karma. And also 360karma.com, of course, is where you can find the events that we have coming up. We have events coming up that will empower women and help fund female entrepreneurs, and that's kind of what we're all about, as you know. Today, as always, we have on an amazing woman. She's a philanthropist, an activist, and also an advocate. Please give a warm welcome to Allison Gingold.
Thank you for having me today. I really
bet.
appreciate it.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
I know we were trying to coordinate getting live on Facebook, and all of a sudden we were on. We're like, hello. Anyway, I'm so happy to have you on today.
Thank you.
I know
appreciate
it's in your DNA because you were sharing with me that your dad, Bill Moran, has been in radio many, many years, and
Right.
But this is your first appearance on a radio show.
This is
so
my first one.
I'm excited.
This is
I'm
exciting.
honored.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I want to talk about so many things with you. One is that we were talking about how 1,000 people a day in the U.S. alone have cardiac arrest, and only 10% survive.
Actually, less than that.
Less than 10%. And we're going to talk about that and how it affected your family and what you did to help make a change with this that could help prevent some of this. So this is huge, and I want to talk about that. But first, I think people want to know, who is Allison? And, basically, I know you were born here in Los Angeles.
Right.
Like many of our listeners, you were adopted. And what was that journey like? You were sharing with me, obviously you were adopted by a great family.
Yeah, I have a great family in the Valley. I grew up in the San Fernando Valley.
Yeah.
And a great middle America Jewish family. I always had known that I was adopted as a child when I was a little kid. But when I was of age to go find out, I was in the time period of closed adoption. I think it changed in 73.
Right.
So you would have to advocate for yourself to find out if it was available for you to find out if who your birth parents were. So I didn't go looking until I was in college.
Okay.
And then my birth mother had already put in some information in my records. I was adopted from Vista Del Mar. And so we were able to connect, and I still talk to her today. So.
Fantastic. That's great.
Yeah.
And so you're so happy that you got to find that out. I would think being adopted, that's a tough thing, not knowing who your mother is. So
really, my parents are the ones who raised me.
Absolutely,
for sure. But
yeah.
There's always questions about just like, where did I come from? You know,
Right.
like what was my medical journey?
Yes.
All those kinds of things, just like unanswered questions.
Right. And that helped put some closure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And actually, it's closure, and it creates like more openness because you're looking at all these other relatives and birth people that you're related to. But it definitely was it was a really positive experience. So yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Something for other people to consider.
Yeah.
Especially now that they have the 23andMe and the
23andMe it's a funny thing. I think it can be very tricky to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because it opens up a big can of worms for people that might have not wanted to disclose some of their private information, and all of a sudden they're saying, "Oh, look, you're related to me," and then it opens up.
I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to do it.
I think it's great.
No, I don't know. I might find a whole nother tribe out there.
We might be related.
You never know. Anything is possible. So So growing up here in Los Angeles, I know you had shared with me initially you were going to college in studying theater,
Right.
to be an actress.
Right.
The only one here in LA.
Right, I know. I know.
I guess it's just something about growing up here that makes people want to be a part of the industry.
Well, also because
Yeah.
my dad did an entertainment radio
Sure,
show.
yeah.
I was exposed to it a lot. He took me to every single possible theater production I could have ever wanted to go to,
Yeah.
and it was really
Yeah.
really deep inside. So I really
get
wanted to do
that.
that, but I vacillated because I also wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to do something international.
yeah, I was going to say you took this
Yeah,
big left turn.
I really went back and forth, and
Yeah.
and then I switched my major, and then even after I graduated college, I vacillated. I said,
Yeah.
should I focus on theater or should I go to law school? So I went to law
There's
school.
a disparity.
Well, listen, I mean, there's a lot of, I think there's a lot
You
of
could have worked
closet
on Law and Order.
I actually, that was the big thing in that time period.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, I should just be on that show. So
But
yeah.
you decided to take the path of going to law school
Right. Mm-hmm.
and becoming a lawyer.
Right.
But then you were sharing with me that, pretty much right after that, you started having your children.
Right.
And you've had three.
Four.
Okay,
So I've had
you
four
were busy.
children. Yeah, I was really
You were
busy. I
yeah.
had 3 back to back.
Yeah.
And then we waited like 5 years for to have the 4th.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, she's a blessing. Oh, they're all blessings, but she's wonderful. I love having an extra one.
Yeah. So you have 4 kids, and while you were raising those kids, I know you were already involved with Jewish Federation, have been for
Like
many
20
years.
years, yeah.
Many years. Glad you said it. I wasn't going to say it.
20 years.
And
Yeah, since birth.
And you've done a lot of great things there, working with the women's segment of it, right?
Right.
Encouraging women to be more philanthropic, right?
Well, really encouraging them to say that like they have their own voice.
Yes.
And
like
that's
that.
always been a big proponent of mine.
Yes.
Is to ensure that everybody has a voice at the table.
Yes.
And so I realized that I could go forth and forward.
Yeah.
Being in the Women's Philanthropy campaign, and I met the most amazing women, and each of them have their own separate passions.
Yeah.
But all of us have the community value of having a strong Jewish Federation here in Los Angeles, and I think that stronghold allows all these other women to advocate for other passions of theirs.
Yeah. And the Federation, we've had them on the show, and they do such amazing work and getting
do.
behind people and businesses and all kinds of
Well,
good causes.
they've really created strong its with civic leaders, and 2 of their tenets is civic engagement, caring for Jews in need, and it's not just Jews in need; it's
People in need.
People in need.
Yeah.
So, and it's international. They're the first group that will come to hurricanes and to earthquakes. When the Malibu fires, I mean, they already would get an emergency response out. So,
That's great.
I've been really proud of the work that we've done. So it's
Yeah.
great.
And I know you've been involved in other groups, the SAM initiative, which we love, Mindy
Right.
Friedman's group, that she gets women to put their money together so that it's more powerful to help nonprofits than single donations.
Right.
So
Well, when
that's
you're
amazing.
doing collaborative giving, it allows you to really make a marketable difference.
Yes.
And
love it.
you're all doing it for the same. You all of these women, and they come from different backgrounds,
Yes.
but they all want to have the same purpose of really making a mark on some of these groups that are really in need. So
Right.
I'm really proud of that.
And then there's no lack of things that you're doing here. You've been the president of University Women at AJU, American Jewish University, where I was so fortunate to get to speak recently.
Yeah, that was
What a
wonderful.
great university.
Thank you.
And then also, more recently, I think you told me you got involved with this women's collective about helping women in politics.
Right. So, in response to how the election went, a lot of women had come together in Los Angeles and formed a women's collective, the Los Angeles Women's Collective, and that is putting not just our dollars and financial support, but our whole support to support women candidates here and also across the nation.
Oh, I love that.
So, and we've been really successful.
Yeah.
So, some of those women now they just became into office. So
Yeah.
it's really exciting.
I always say it's in my 360 Karma motto is about women helping women.
Right.
And there's nothing more powerful than women getting together with their minds and intent on something.
Right.
And they were intent and getting more women into office, and
Right.
look what's happened.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
And look how many women are running for president. How crazy
it's
and wonderful is this?
It's crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
even I remember growing up, and those used to be those questions like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And people would say, I want to be president. But like, you thought about being president, but that was like a small little wishful, but now it's actually a reality. It's pretty amazing to.
So, Allison, are you announcing you're running for president?
I am not.
I was the other night somewhere that Marianne Williamson announced she's running for president.
On Monday night.
And we actually are going to a fundraiser this weekend for Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
And I just say there can't be enough female presidential candidates, and they're really good ones, and it's exciting.
It's really exciting.
Yeah.
It's thrilling to see
Yeah.
that they feel like they feel empowered enough.
Yes.
That they could have a voice, and that they
Yeah.
could have that they could actually make a difference nationally and internationally.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
phenomenal.
thanks to things like the collective that you're involved in.
Yeah.
It really did take, I think, women supporting women to get them to feel empowered like that.
I also think it was a catalyst that when you see so much divisiveness, it had to hit a point of divisiveness
Yes.
and disunity
Yes.
for people to say, this is not going to happen on my watch.
Right,
And I think
exactly.
also for moms that are raising, there's a maternal instinct that
Yeah.
you're not going to do this to our children.
Right. And isn't it great that our generation can make that impact for the kids coming up?
Yeah.
Let's leave that legacy that we created got rid of the disparity between men and women in all fields,
Right.
Including politics. So, yeah, we'd like that to happen on our watch.
Yes.
Yeah. So, shifting a little bit,
Yeah.
I want to talk about what we started the show with, which was about 1,000 people a day in the U.S. have cardiac arrest. Oh my God. I think I'm going to cardiac arrest thinking about it. I mean, that is like staggering. And only 10% survive. That's even scarier. And apparently, you had shared with me that your son, Zach, was in Israel and had a cardiac arrest.
Right.
And thank goodness survived it. And let's talk about how and why he survived it,
Okay.
and what you did as a result of this.
So we went on this amazing journey to Israel for my daughter's bat mitzvah in 2009, in June of 2009.
And was this birthright?
It was not birthright. This is just
okay.
a familial trip.
Right.
We went with other families that are national around the United States. Each of those families had a bar mitzvah age child,
Gotcha.
and so we didn't know them going on the trip. And then we would go on tours every day. And so this is halfway through the trip, and my son had not been feeling well, and I just thought it was just like flu and the jet lag, the travel. He was 14 years old. I didn't really think anything of it.
Right.
Obviously, if we would have been home in LA, I would have been having him rest, but there wasn't an opportunity for that.
Sure.
So the day of her bat mitzvah, we were in Masada. They all had their bat mitzvah up in Masada. And then later that day, after a very long journey through the desert, we were visiting all these desert places. We ended up in Eilat, which is the southernmost part, the beach community. And in the lobby of the hotel, he had sudden cardiac arrest.
Oh my God.
So it was really, it was quite surreal.
What brought it on? Does he have any type of...
No, he has no. He has no,
At 14 years old.
At 14 years old. So,
Distress
but
and
that
stuff?
happens.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it can happen. You can have a lot of people have genetic underlying
Sure.
problems, and it doesn't manifest itself.
Right.
And sometimes what ends up happening is it manifests itself as cardiac arrest, and then that's it, because of certain circumstances where they don't have the proper response.
So he was lucky. They had...
Yeah, he's a blessing.
Yeah, somebody that...
He's a walking miracle.
So they had someone there that was able to...
So there was a doctor on our tour. One of the other families
Thank goodness.
was a doctor, and he immediately started CPR. But what really got it, and of course I'm an advocate for CPR, but there was an AED in the lobby of the hotel, And
what's an AED?
An AED is an automated external defibrillator.
Okay.
And I mean, you see it on the TV shows, all the medical shows. And
Yeah.
so it was in the lobby of the hotel, and they had immediate response by the security guards at the hotel since it was in the lobby.
Wow.
And so, I mean, they came right away.
And that saved his life.
It did save his life. Yeah.
So because of this, you came back to the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
and you started an affiliate of the Cardiac Arrest...
So the Sudden Cardiac Arrest Foundation.
Sudden Cardiac Arrest Foundation.
That's correct.
And worked with them to get these
Well, actually,
AEDs
what
into the
happened?
schools, right?
When we were in Israel, we had honestly the most amazing experience by the doctors, the staff at the hospital in Soroka, but I always wanted to just get home to LA. You know, you just want to get home.
Yes.
And so after we finally had the approval, after many, many weeks of living there, we came home. And I was really surprised that there wasn't an AED in every building, and nobody was trained in CPR. People were like in the 70s, but not anymore. And I thought, oh my gosh, like I was thinking like, oh, well, LA is like the premier medical, premier like health advocates in California. And we weren't.
Yes.
So I got involved with the Sudden Cardiac Arrest Foundation just because they have an amazing survivor network program and a lot of public affairs and accessibility on their education awareness. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to make a difference here in LA. So the school, it was a private school that my children attend, Brentwood School. They had already, while we were in Israel, they were so responsive. They were really amazing. And they had already purchased AEDs for both campuses. Wow. And then they trained all of their staff and faculty. And I thought in CPR. Yeah. And I thought, oh, this is so amazing. What a school I have. And then I thought, well, that is terrible. Like, how could it only be my school? Right. You know, like, what about everybody else's school? Right. So I started looking into that. Right. And I realized that it's not on the books, and it wasn't a requirement. So I I just started making all of these connections. I mean, I have a lot of connections because of all the philanthropy that I've done and the work that I've done through the Federation. And just because I have 4 children, I have a lot of different friends in different fields. Right. And I just really started an email campaign and a phone campaign and a face-to-face campaign with everybody that I knew. And it started spiraling in a positive way. And then also Freddie Rodriguez is an assemblyman. He had to sponsor the bill, and then the bill was to advocate to say that high school students across California would have to be trained in CPR before they graduated. Wow. So
they passed the law.
They passed the law.
That's
fantastic. I went to Sacramento to speak for it, and but I had to get it was one of those kinds of you need to get, this person wants to hear that this person likes it. And it's one of those, I'm not going to sign off on it unless this person does. Right. And then when I started having support from the LA City Council, from Eric Garcetti, our mayor, who's just an amazing leader here in LA. And I had support from other people, assemblymen. Then I had support from the board of.
But what I love about this is one person can make a difference.
One person can make a
So
difference.
if you're out there and you have a cause, you know, you can do what Allison did and get these council people on board and get the mayor on board and make laws to implement these things. What about the AEDs? Are they?
So the AEDs are still, there's, each of these bills are their own subset.
So there's going to be a bill for that too?
Yeah, so there's bills of a lot of things. There's bills that have passed recently in the past couple of years that I've advocated for that have to do with all the new buildings have to have an AED. I mean, it was originally it had in certain health clubs, they have an AED.
Do you know how many lives you've saved?
So that's how, that's
really,
what I wanted to do.
Right. I mean, you know, talk about a legacy.
Right. Thank you. Well,
Yeah.
I think it's just important. It's not just me. I mean, there's
No.
other parents that have been out there with
Right,
me,
but those other
advocating.
parents are out there with you because you started it. And that's great that they got behind you. And I can tell, it's a lot of work to, like you said, get everybody on board. It's
Right.
politics.
It's politics.
But
But it's a kind of
it's come
politics
together.
that like I felt very very positive because it wasn't like I was I didn't have to give anything negative, and I wasn't trying to bend my beliefs.
I really think that that's what we're here on the planet for.
Right.
Is we get like a download, and it says this is what you need to do, and you either do it or you don't.
Right.
And so I think it's great. You got that download. You didn't just care about your child. You cared
Right.
about all the children,
Right.
and you carried that torch. And
Well, I felt like we were
that's a
really
gift.
blessed. We were blessed, and I felt it was a responsibility that like if
Yeah.
I'm blessed, I would like everybody else to have that opportunity.
And I see that lawyer in you. That's what I think. That's what
yeah, it's coming in handy. It came in handy, that's for sure.
Yeah, maybe the acting and the lawyer.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where they both came together.
There you go. That's right. That's right.
I read another interesting statistic that just blew me away, and I happened to read it right after I spoke to you, oddly enough.
Yeah.
And it said 1 in 39 people will be assisted when they have a medical emergency on the street.
Mm-hmm.
Only 1 in 39 will a bystander help someone
Well, that was part of
who's in medical need.
right. That was part of what I was
How
advocating.
sad is this? This is crazy.
Well, because number one, it used to be mouth to mouth,
Yes.
and now it's hands only. So
Right.
people were very reticent, especially in the 80s when there was a
Right.
lot of diseases and they didn't know how they were transferring from one person to another. They were very reticent about putting their mouth on someone else's mouth,
Right.
which is understandable.
Yes.
But that was exactly what I was when I would advocate for this bill.
Yeah.
Is I said you are training high school and middle school children who are very receptive still to wanting to have community with other people to create an adult community
Right.
that would be much more apt to respond to someone.
Right.
And if you get that ingrained in children younger, as an adult, they're much more available to like want to help.
Right. Right.
They're not so scared about it.
Well, I was going to say that it just goes to show that anybody out there can take some steps to make a difference, and I think it was very bold of you to, really. I know it was a fight. I know it took
Yeah.
a lot of energy. And
Well, I think it also for me.
Yeah.
I think the hardest part was just the beginning, just
Yeah.
to really say my story out loud, which is our
Yes.
family story out loud.
Yes.
It was really difficult for
Yeah.
a long time.
Right.
I had to kind of share it
Yes.
and the personal journey to share became
A
much more
tragedy
comfortable.
is
The tragedy is
hard.
hard, but
Yes.
it wasn't really a tragedy at the end. It was
Right.
a blessing.
Yes.
And once I shared it enough times, I was much more comfortable talking about it.
Right.
And then I was able to move
Yeah.
forward with it.
Yeah. They always say there's a silver lining.
Yeah.
So sorry that happened to Zach, but
Yeah.
look at how many people it's affected. And,
Yeah.
Marianne Williamson was saying the other day, the most important thing is educating and training our children. They are the future. And so if all the schools start training people on CPR, maybe that 1 in 39 people who are helped by bystanders will increase and hopefully be
Right.
the majority
Right.
instead of such a bleak minority.
Right.
So,
God willing.
I mean, what you've done is just started this ripple effect that could go across the country. And
Well, when I saw the success of how it went at the end, and it was a long time coming because even politically, there's questions about how we're going to fund it, and
Yeah.
it's a lot more deeper political than I
Right.
realized it would be at the
Right.
beginning. I thought it was a no-brainer.
right.
But
And how did you fund it? Did you get donations or?
well, each school district has to work it out. So whether they partner up with their local fire department or EMTs or whatever, or they set aside some of their money in the health department, when they're allotting money for the schools, that's how they have to figure
You
it
have
out.
to make it a priority.
But they have to make it a priority.
Well, thank you so much for being
Thank
on
you.
and
I'm
sharing
so
your
honored
story.
thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for the great work you're doing.
Thank you for the great work you're doing.
I hope Allison inspired you like she inspired me. So get out there and make a difference. We'll see you again next week, Wednesdays at noon. Make it a great week. Hugs and happiness.